So what we're talking about is how to go ahead and do research for featured experts for the 16 things we all can do books. Okay. So Mike's subject is entrepreneurship. We'll go with that first. And Ruth, what's yours? Do you have a subject picked out?
Yeah, I think it was the first one was finance and then the education, but you said finance is not available yet. So I can do the entrepreneurship also and then the education.
Let's go with education. Okay, because we're not going to have people like overlap in terms of, so we'll do
Okay.
education. Okay, so first of all, what are featured experts or who are featured experts? And this is information that you'll have in your spreadsheet, your action pack. Okay, so featured experts are people of influence. We call them POIs. So university professors may be experts, but they're not POIs. They don't have big followings. They don't make a big impact right outside their university, let's say. So they're not suitable for what we're looking for.
So
Okay,
meaning they are not influencers.
correct.
Okay.
On rare occasion, they are, but literally the vast majority, like way over 90%, are not. Okay, just because you're teaching even at a prestigious university doesn't make you an influencer. Okay, so influencers, right, are people with large audiences. And we're not talking about, right, 30 students, 450 students, right, in a lecture hall. We're talking about hopefully hundreds of thousands or millions of people. Okay, so they might be best-selling authors, they might be public speakers, they might be TV, radio, internet personalities, hosts, commentators. Okay, and featured expert steps, right, to achieve your book objectives. One is you've got to research and you've got to create a list. So once, how do you go about doing your research? So let's skip down to line item 21, researching experts in a subtopic like entrepreneurship, education. So you can use either a search engine or AI to do this. Okay. And if you're using AI, you're going to say, research a directory or lists of influencers in whatever field you're talking about in the United States, right, from 2023 and 2024, and put the information into a table citing the source name, right, the working URL, the influencer's full name, areas of expertise, and what they're known for. Okay, so that's the first thing. What you want to do is you want to generate a list of these influencers. You don't want to go ahead and do them one at a time. That's a big waste of time. Okay, so always look for directory or a list, and that directory or that list might come from a magazine like Time Magazine or Fortune Magazine or Inc. Magazine or Entrepreneur Magazine, where they've already done the homework, they've already done the research. Are you following? Ruth? I think Ruth might be frozen. Okay. Yeah, okay. You were frozen perfectly. Okay. So once you have that list, and you can put that list into your AI, your search engine, or your Chat GPT or Claude or whatever the case may be. It might be Gemini um, from Google, and you can test. You can do it in several different GPTs or LLMs, large language models. see which one is going to give you the best information. Now you go to the next prompt, access these lists, right, that you just generated or paste in, copy and paste it in, and create a table that contains separate columns for first name, last name, title, company, expertise, outreach, impact from Instagram and LinkedIn, right, with the links, the email, phone number, URLs, and some of this it won't be able to provide. Okay, usually it won't be able to provide email, phones, but you ask for it anyway. And you also add in a summary of what each person is best known for. And then when you're doing prompts, there's a couple other things that you want to add in. There's no limit to the length of your answer because ChatGPT will try to only give you, right, 5 or 10 response or 10 or 15 responses to something. Meanwhile, you've got a list and you want 30, let's say, to start with. Okay, so it's going to always try to truncate the information, and you don't want that. And you also have to tell it to provide you always with factual information and cite the working URLs, because it might give you URLs that aren't linked. It might make up information. And then, right, you say, do not fabricate, right, any information. Do you understand and agree to these requirements? Okay, so from my own work with AIs, these last things are extremely important because AI is prone to, there's no other way to say it, to lying about the information they provide. And you do not want that. Okay, so this is what you would do. And let's go. And Zoom is always in the way. And wow, I lost my, that's really good. Okay, so let me put in research a directory of names. And this one says, right, sustainability. Okay. We can do in the entrepreneurship field in the United States or in entrepreneurship. And I'm going to put in and leaders because you can custom tailor this. Okay. So for entrepreneurs, right? And that's the thing about your prompts. You can always adjust them if you don't get the thing that you're looking for. So here's an initial list. Okay. And you can say, if you want, add 15 more entrepreneurs to your table. Because if you give them sometimes, right, too many to do initially, right, it'll balk at doing it. So you can always add more, and that makes it easy for it to do. Okay, so now you've got a much longer list. Okay, and if it stops in the middle, like it did here, you say continue. And you see it picked it up from that last one that was incomplete, and it adds more. So these are things that you've got to be aware of, okay, in order to run it as effectively as possible. Okay, now we're going to go back to our previous prompt, and we're going to copy the next one. And you can say even great thanks, right? You know, give it a little pat on the computer back. Okay. Now you say access this this list, these lists, right, or these tables, right, or you can, you know, these lists again. Oops. And create a table that contains separate columns for all of these things, right? Outreach, Instagram and Instagram and LinkedIn. Okay. And then you see how it does with that. Yes, I understand and agree to these requirements. And then it restates what you want it to do. And now you've got an expanded list. And now you've also got, right, you know, the companies. Now you can copy this whole thing and put it into your spreadsheet. And that's the first step of getting started. Who are the people that we're going to outreach to? And then you're going to have a script that you can use, right, to outreach. And, right, even for Elon Musk, you know, you can, you know, you contact him on X, right? You go through the publicist, and next week, I'm going to give you, after I go through your lists, I'm going to give you access to some databases where you can research these people to get more specific contact information. Okay, so we're going to take it one step at a time. Okay. So, any questions about anything that I just went over? Is it clear? Okay.
Yes.
What do you think? What do you think of the information? If you like it, give me a thumbs up. It's good for you, Ruth? That's a lot of thumbs. Thank you. Okay. So that is on the 16 Things book. And this is exciting stuff. Okay. When we do this, you'll see. And what we're going to do is, let's go back to just real quick. Okay. And then there are some steps. So you research your POIs, and then you outreach and you secure interviews. And then after the interview, we ask each one for additional referrals. Who would they recommend that we speak to and interview for also inclusion in the book? Okay, because they might give us 1, 2, 3, 4 additional sources. We then check those sources out and make sure that they're good POIs as well. And then we contact them and say, hey, right, we got your info from blah, 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 right? And, you know, he recommended that we speak to you and ask you to become a featured expert. We just did our interview with him or her, okay? And that's how we go ahead and expand. Because what you don't know is that for every title that we do, and we do a book on education, we do a book on entrepreneurship, we can actually do multiple books using additional experts on that subject. So even if we produce a book and we have 100,000 books, and it then goes out, as One Planet One People workshops, and we got those 32 experts who are promoting it, well, let's say we end up with 10 additional experts that didn't go into the book. We then have a jump start on another edition of the book, because those experts have their own audiences as well. And then we go out and get additional experts, and now we've got 2 books on the same subject. And 1/3 of the work was already done. Do you see how it works? Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Do we have a finished book that we can uh, tell it to them? Like we already have finished. Uh,
Not 16 Things books. We have other books. We have the other books. I just sent out books to the White House earlier.
yeah, or if these POIs asked, they have already produced some books. May I know the name of the books so that
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a legit. I
You
mean,
have a whole website on it. You have a whole website. It's lylebenjamin.com. Okay. So we'll refer them to the website. Okay. And the answer is right. They'll have a sample. If they want more information, there's a media kit that we'll be able to send them that shows book covers, and it explains content and everything else, and it'll show how the pages are laid out. So the answer is yes, you'll have a lot of information to give them, right, should they ask for it. Absolutely. We always have lots of information. Okay, so okay, so that's how the book works. And then the course, for the work-life balance course, okay, this is a little different. Okay, now when you research people of we're not researching people of influence here. We're outreaching, right, positions in large companies. Okay, so what I said before is that there's a lot of different positions that we can go to let them know that we're doing this market research survey. That's the initial thing we're doing in the core, and we're developing a course on work-life balance and CSR. Okay, designed to benefit the company, right, their employees, shareholders, and stakeholders, as well as kids, people, and the planet. 4 different groups that we benefit, and that's what makes this the programs that we offer completely different than what they're used to seeing. Okay, so you have C-suite. You have C-suite. You've got chief marketing officer, chief sales officer, right? Chief business development officer. And on LinkedIn or through AI, you can develop a prompt and you can say, hey, I want to know who are the CHROs, right, in this industry, okay? And it will give you a list. We also have, like I said, subscription services where you're going to be able to research this as well, okay? And once we go through and, I look at your prompts and I see the research that you've done, then you'll be able to go ahead and start doing your outreach and engagement. But what we want to do is generally do director level, because the CEO right, is too high a position normally for what we're talking about. Okay. So we want to go into human resources, marketing, sales, CSR, sustainability, business development. These are the key areas, director level. And then sometimes there's C-suite level, right, as well that we can do. But CEO is really too high a position to deal with this initially. Okay. And then you go ahead and we'll, like I said, when we give you access to some of the subscription services, you'll be able to research a large quantity. That will be when you're actually working. But initially, you can use AI and Google to go ahead and just get a list. Okay, that's the easiest way initially. You can also initially, if do you both have LinkedIn profiles for yourself? Okay, so you'll be able to add One Planet, One People to your LinkedIn profiles. Okay, you could be able to add the logo. You'll be able to read, your title initially is Administrative Project Coordinator. Okay, so you'll be able to add in that. And then you'll be able to contact them initially from your LinkedIn. If later you want to continue doing that, that's fine, or you can use, ours. We're going to go ahead and give you also later an email address for that's tied into the organizational name. Okay, so later as you move up, you'll have that personalized for you as well. We'll develop for you digital business cards as well, okay, that you can utilize. So there's a lot of additional things that are coming pretty quickly down the pike. Okay. All right. So any questions about the first step, which is doing your research? And you don't have to do, just let me add this. You don't have to do like hundreds and hundreds of people initially. Okay. If you go ahead and develop a list and it's got hundreds and hundreds, fine, just dump it into your spreadsheet. Okay. But the thing is that you want to concentrate literally, you get 10 viable, LinkedIn's to go ahead and contact. You contact those 10 and then you work on the next 10. Don't spend all your time doing, database management or CRM management. Okay. Right. Because the main objective, once you get your list, is to do outreach and engagement, right? To go on to the next steps with those people. Okay. And that's what we want to go ahead and see. All right. So, yeah. Any questions?
So once we have the list,
yeah,
do you have to check them first before we will do the outreach? We can go ahead.
I would like to check them first with you on a Zoom call, because then I can point out anything that I see that will make it better and easier for you. It's better to correct things initially than for you to go back later and correct them, because it's much, much harder. It's much more time consuming. So the thing is that once you learn the process, remember, we have the Pomoro system. Okay, and this is all part of the Pomoro system. All right. But the thing is that once you learn what we look for and you develop the same type of, eye, attention to detail, things like this, then it becomes much easier and it actually increases your success ability.
Okay. So once we have the list, we will be starting on January 2, right? So when will you be able to check the list that we have?
As soon as you have the list, you text me through WhatsApp.
Okay.
And if I'm not in a meeting or if I'm not eating, because those are the two things I generally do, forget about sleeping. But not eating, right? Okay, I'll get back to you and we'll set up a time. And you can say, are you available now? Are you available in an hour? Whatever the case may be, right? Sometimes it's good to give me a little bit of a heads up, but it's not like it's going to take you, right, 3 days to schedule. That won't happen. It'll happen either the same day or depending on what time you contact me the next day. And then once you have your list done, right, then you go to town. Okay. And what you want to do is any questions that come up, you want to write those questions down so that we can then go ahead and give you an FAQ so that when people start asking the questions in the future, you'll have the best answers to give them.
Okay. So as we start our research, do we have a tracker or we can just do it manually?
Well, what you're
Right.
going to do is you're going to put that information in a spreadsheet. And that's the step that, right, we need to go through. So that's your connection step. Okay. When you change this form here and you've downloaded it and changed the name to your name, or you didn't download it, but you in our remote drive, you went ahead and made a copy of it, and then you put your name on here. Now this is your spreadsheet that you have access to. And then you can take this block off. You can put in the information, okay, in here, pretty much like this. Okay, if you don't have information to put in, right, like phone numbers yet, or that's fine. Okay. And then you update the things that need to be updated when you go ahead and do your outreach and connection.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. The time tracker, we have to spend 2 hours a day. Then
Oh,
what will be the app that we will be using for tracking our time?
okay. So the time tracker, the thing is that the 2 hours a day isn't hard fast. In other words, right, if you spend an hour and a half one day and you've got to run off to pick up your child, right, and that's not a problem. Okay. If you want to spend 3 hours one day because you're really into it and you're really having, and you're making good connections, whatever the case may be, that's fine too. So what you'll do is you'll go ahead and you can text into the office or text me, whatever, and say, okay, right, I'm starting and I'm contacting entrepreneurs for 16 things now. Okay. And then, when you're done, say, okay, I'm signing off now. I'm done with that. And, right, these are 3 of the questions that came up. This is I contacted, let's see, in 2 hours, I contacted 30 people on LinkedIn, right? Because all you're doing is cutting and pasting the same message just about. You're just making little bit modifications to it based upon what you might know about them. Okay.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
contacted, X number of people, right? And then you're going to start getting responses back from those people. And then you start following up with those responses. Okay. And the responses are quick. I mean, they're really quick. Okay. And the interviews and the surveys that you do, they don't all 100% have to take place during your trial. Okay, if you can do some, right? You also want to schedule a time if you want to practice with me, because I'm the one who's going to give you the best feedback. Also, I'm the most difficult person to, right? Because, I know what I'm doing. So the thing is, I correct everything. So that's the way it works. When you're talking, you want to get on Zoom often, even during your trial, right? And say, hey, I've got a question about this, or can I, whatever the case may be. I am more than happy and more than available because we're in this together to make it work. Okay, so good questions.
While
Yeah.
while communicating with these POIs, are we going to use your LinkedIn, I mean, page or our own LinkedIn page?
You can use initially whatever one you feel most comfortable using. You'll have access to mine, okay, and you can use mine, okay, and we can discuss whether you want to use it. You know, you can say I'm the executive admin for Lyle Benjamin or whatever, and we're doing this, okay, or you can, I'm sorry, project coordinator for this, and we'll do it any way you're comfortable doing it, okay. So we can talk about that whenever you're ready to reach out. And if you haven't been on my LinkedIn, go to my LinkedIn. Okay, you should be able to find me. Okay, so we're good for now.
Yes.
Okay,
So
cool.
we'll be working this one on January onwards.
Yeah. This
Yeah,
is
okay.
because it's what we realized is that because of the holidays, it's really going to be difficult. You're not going to have it's not going to be easy to do it right now. So now go ahead and do a little bit of training. Look, the training that you're getting is pretty advanced. Okay. So it's good for your career. Hopefully your career is with us. Okay. That's what we want. But regardless, this is going to help you in anything that you do moving forward, because that's the way that I teach. Okay.
Can we have this recording?
Yes. I will add it to the list of recordings. And on this account, we have a time limit. That's why I wasn't going to use it. But so I thank you for joining us tonight. We'll get the other Zoom account worked out, figured out why it's having issues, and we'll move forward. Text me whenever you need to on WhatsApp, and have a great morning. And I look forward to seeing your research and talking to you more.
Thank you, Lyle.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Turned out to be a very good meeting.